Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's pro level ladder, not necessarily tip-top level pro, but pro nonetheless. There'll be a very small but very vocal contingent of my fan base. Oh, I don't even like that. Fan base, or people who watch my channel. That's much more likely the case. Of my subscriber base, that's better. Who will be very pleased. I know that they feel like the ladder quantity has fallen off of late, and it probably has, along with the presence of all the pros, so that probably is causation right there. But I found one for you today, and although I haven't given it the label of epicosity, it's pretty epic in terms of timescale and length. So if you haven't got time to watch it now, dump it in your watch later playlist and catch it when you do. You have been warned. Before we roll into the action, quick message coming in from Rowie. He has organised a new tourney that's the Galaxy Cup. He's going to run it every 6 months. So this is the Galaxy Cup 2018, I guess you would call it Summer Edition. And it's going to be a custom 1v1 jobby. You've got 3 qualifying rounds and then the grand final. And the best part of all, the prize pool currently stands at $400. So get involved, guys. You might win yourself some cash. And with all the pros, I guess, I don't know, playing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds or something, even if you're a high-level Joe, throw your hat into the ring. What could go wrong? You might walk away with some cash. Let's do it! I'm probably going to cast some games. I'm pretty sure Brink is going to cast some. So looking forward to bringing some of that action to you guys. All right, that's enough of all that gubbins. Let's get on with today's game. It's going to be a custom, not custom 1v1, sorry. It's going to be a ladder match, as we said before. And that action is going to take place on Certis Major. I'm ready. You guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready, so let's go on over to the game zone and see how they're going to get on. A-ching? Ka-ching! Alright, this is the blue corner. Let's check it out. Player 1. Let's switch on names to help me later on so I don't forget who's who. It's TURBO2. He's going Cybran. Bless him. And he's opening first land. 2 P-gens off the back of that, and then queuing up a couple of mass extractors after that. His opponent over here in the red corner, it's Inspektor also going Cybran, so it's a Cybran mirror matchup, which of course means that as soon as this is over, I shall be embalming my scrotum for future generations to enjoy. And he has opened first land, and the skipping out the 2 P-gens, probably something to do with how close he is to the Hydro on that. Going to go straight to the core mass instead. Wait for that first NG to come off. Attack rally point over there, and that first NG will go straight to the Hydro. Let's have a look at how these guys match up on their opening. TURBO2, as we said before, going for those 2 P-gens. We're going to get quite a few P-gens queued up after the second factory there for Inspektor. That second factory is going to be an air factory placed next to the Hydro. All very standard. I'd be amazed if we don't get a second air out from TURBO2 as well. But I'm going to go with, this is going to be, I reckon, a slightly more efficient start, assuming he doesn't power stall himself. And with the Hydro that close to his starting locale, I think he will have this covered. Minus 38, 300 power left in the bank, 250, 200. Yeah, no worries there, sir. Cha-ching, straight into +2, positive. That's a nice eco balance right there. Good power balance, very efficient. You can already see a marginal advantage. In fact, TURBO2 only just grabbing the final core mass right now as we speak. Current advantage is just jumped there to a massive advantage of 5 or so, 7 to 12 at last reading. Now 9 to 13. So yeah, decent little start there for Inspektor, who completes his first offensive unit. That's a Mantis and a Mole to go with it. We'll see if he sends that on defensive or offensive duty. As we scroll out slightly, I think we can afford to go to full screen now, as we've seen the essentials of their starts. Essentially very little to choose between them, just that alteration on strategy with the first 2 P-gens. And now it's going to be P-gens all day for TURBO2 as he queues them up. Interceptor off the conveyor belt. Couple of scout planes out, 1 for each player. Let's have a look at where they're headed. So very predictable stuff. Both player going for the original base scout and then setting some kind of crazy, well, this is relatively standard, that patrol route he's got set there, covering all of Inspector Cot's starting territory. This is a little bit more way out from Inspector Cot, going all about the houses, and Inti's already locked onto that, so his time in the game is very limited indeed, or maybe not so limited if that Interceptor keeps flying into mountains. I've heard tell that's not brilliant for your health. Apparently the game engine thinks it's okay though. Scout plane for the time being, giving that Inti a run for its money, as is the scout plane up here. Have they buffed the speed of the scout plane? Anybody know the answer to that? I always thought Intis could catch up with those without any real difficulty. Maybe it's just the heading off they're much better at, but for the time being they seem to be struggling pretty badly. T1 bomber out there for Turbo2, heading towards the northern edge of the map. One Mantis and a Mole looking for an easy kill in the top left-hand corner. They're going to find it as they catch one engineer all by his lonesome from Turbo2. Just finished that one T1 Mex. Won't get an option on the second. Turbo also looking to take control of the middle early. Lots of mass, of course, tied up in that quantum gateway and a few other reclaimable buildings around the area, but you've got to take care of the eruptors first of all. Otherwise, well, for obvious reasons, your units end up looking like chop suey. Mantis rolling into trouble there for Inspector Cot. Little ambush lying in wait amongst the spiky trees of Certis. Little response up in the top left. One Mantis comes to try and take back for Turbo, and another a little further back, but the numbers are growing exponentially for Inspector Cot. Well, they were for about 10-15 seconds. There's no more on the way in, but certainly, if nothing else, there goes the mechs we saw get completed earlier. Turbo2 in the middle now with his commander. Going to go straight for the reclaim. Won't be getting any mass out of that, of course, until that gets down to the right level of wreckage. Single file, not the ideal approach for Inspector Cot. Turbo2 backs up in formation, presenting that broad face towards the enemy. And engineers rolling out to try and seal off this gap that these red Cybran units are pouring through. Juicers switch up to help take down the quantum gateway. Now they've got some Mantis relief as well. That should be down in no time. Turbo2 set to capitalize on that. Could have some company in the middle soon though. Inspector Cot on his way to the middle. Quantum gateway should be down by then. It's taking a hell of a long time to chew through all of those hit points. Nice little run by down here though. Looks like they're going to sneak one or two Mantis into this other starting location. Why not back it up with a little engineer drop as well? 5 NGs off the transport from Inspector Cot. Gets straight to work on an auto gun. It's going to create a few problems for Turbo early down on his side of things. Turbo hoovering up that mass. Inspector Cot, if he was to advance forward, could have stolen some of that. Might even get a little bit of it. To break into the compound first of all with a couple of quick wall reclaims. Let's have a look at reclaims so far. So Turbo2 over 1,000 mass ahead after that move to the middle. Not too surprising. Sneaky little hideaway up in the top left-hand corner there for Inspector Cot, waiting for those Mantis and their opportunity to do more damage. Potential trouble here for him as a column of Mantis and Medusa break into the top starting location just as 3 engineers have been airdropped up there. They're going to throw down a PD. There are Medusas in this mix though, so as long as they're spotted early, you should be able to deal with that. Things going very well though for Inspector Cot down here. 3 land factories online, a 4th under construction, and some defending Mantis and a PD to help hold the area. Do we have any Medusas? Yes, we do. Good unit mix from Turbo2. How will the engage go? They want to deal with this situation ASAP and wrestle back control of the 5 mexes that he's lost. T1 bomber harassing the land factories. Now the point defense as well. Do a lot worse than to focus on the engineers, make sure no more of those pop up. Medusa's set to take out that PD up at the top. One lone mass extractor left. Most of the rest of that column has been destroyed, but a few have made it right into the back here. Game still yet to take on any kind of cohesion. No uniform front line in play. That's a risky little drop into the center there. Mantis should be advancing on the Medusa right now before those Medusa pick up on that. If they didn't see the transport coming in, well, he's lucky they didn't. Quick advance forward, a couple of shells, and that would have been a small catastrophe. Down goes the mechs. Another PD on its way for Inspektor Cott down here to replace the one he lost, but they can't contend with this light artillery. Bombers still harassing, and it looks like Turbo is going to have a handle on this very soon, especially with his commander moving into the area. Pulled it out of the middle, recognized the danger, needed to get control of these resourcing options and fast. 41 mass apiece, it's a level as we see it. Inspektor Cott with the potential to go ahead here as he reasserts control of his top position before Turbo2 gets in control of his bottom. What an uncontrollable bottom it is. There go the land factories. Still producing Mantis, trying to slow down Turbo2's move into the area. And that is that, as they say. One heroic Mantis. Will he get the kill? Yes, he will. He's about to get reclaimed. Let's see if he's got any attention being paid to him. Yes, he has. Look at that. With everything going on, Turbo2 still has the wherewithal to focus in on that one lone Mantis, avoid the reclaim, kill the engineer, and go to work on that other mech. There's more engineers heading his way. He's still... I know there's other stuff going on, but this could be an engineer massacre if he's paying attention. Gets... Oh, my... No! Oh, well, he got the mass point kill. I was all on for some Cybran civilian casualties right there. Alas, it didn't materialize. And Turbo2 gets his northerly army pinned up against the cliff by superior force. And looks like just 2 Mantis are going to make it out of there. Well, not if they park there. No Mantis are going to make it out of there. Hell has the reclaim device. So still a K between them. But this time it's Inspektor Cott who's ahead on reclaim. In terms of generated eco, Turbo2 is in front by around 8 mass or so. And in terms of total mass, Inspektor Cott up 1k or probably about 500, something like that. So it's pretty close. Territory is more or less 50-50. I would say Turbo with a minor advantage. He's in control of the mass points up the top here and down at the bottom there, but otherwise it's almost bisecting the map pretty evenly. Double radar. Who would put 2 or more radar installations next to each other? That's just such a waste. Alas, it's all wasted now. 2 Mantis sneak in and take that out. One of them gets creamed by a bomber flying overhead. Inspektor Cott lurking at the upper causeway. T1 point defense helping that position. seeing an awful lot of tech on the field yet from anyone. 13 minutes in, I suppose there's been an awful lot of early jostling for territory. Got any upgrades on the way? There's probably a T2 factory staring me in the face. There usually is. Oh, if there is, I certainly can't see it. And, no T2 units jumping out at me on the broader map. Another major engage at the southern pass. Both advancing. Turbo2 with the better formation. Inspektor Cot withdrawing back towards his point defense over here. Another engagement on the opposite side of the field. Numbers this time with Cot, but Cot didn't like that pressure. I don't know if he's aware of that PD on the hill as well. Yeah, he is. Now one lone engineer just capping back those mexes that belonged formerly to Turbo 2. One engineer behind enemy lines up at the top, just scooping up the reclaim. Turbo 2 with stealth and T2 engineering suite is stalling some defenses down at that secondary starting location. Throwing down a zapper, some flak there, and a shield gen. T2 on the way for Inspektor Cot, and that's his first comm upgrade. Sneaky little run by to the top, takes care of those two mass points once again. Those forces likely to come a cropper though from Cot, who's looking like he's got the numbers to handle this quite comfortably. T2 complete for Inspektor Cot. Turbo 2 advancing though. 104 to 77. 108 to 81. That's pretty significant advantage. That's not down to any territorial concerns. So that's just showing the focus of Turbo 2. It's been on eco for the last 5 minutes or so. And we do have tech now, and it's a T3 land factory that I've finally managed to spot. That was probably already at T2 when I was hovering over it before, saying, I don't see anything. And we've got T2 air in play for Inspektor Cot as well. So, alternative tech. No, we do have T3 for land and air. Do we have T2 air for turbo? That's the question. It's a question that historians will ponder over for generations to come. Doesn't look like it. Very successful bombing run across that formation. Those bombers will get annihilated, but that certainly was an entertaining pass. Beautiful spread on that from Inspektor Cot. And another approach. Very difficult to traverse these passes without coming in single file. Definitely means you don't want to engage your enemy right here. Much better to get onto the plateau securely and engage head on. I'm going to come through the southern aperture and head back, take out the mexes and anything else that's lurking. There's this small line of troops belonging to Turbo. Another massive T1 bombing run, this time to the troops in the center. Inspektor Cot picking up decent kills here from his air tactics. Still only producing T1 air out of that T2 factory. Bricks or loyalists rolling off air. The speed tells me it's loyalists. Inspektor has gone straight for bricks. Another beautiful bombing run. These little formations of T1 bombers. I love it. Just wreaking havoc on those blue Cybran forces. Cot slowly sealing up the gap, not completely, just closing it down, putting some point defense up. Lots of wall sections up in the center and up at the top. So all designed to impede Turbo's speed around the map. Major incursion at the bottom of the map. Loyalists and bricks on opposing sides of the engagement. It's going to be a win for Inspector Cot. Potential to cause some damage here if he advances. Meanwhile, TURBO2 getting no traction up at the top. Epic T1 bomber spam. It is nice to see those being put to good use. Was not always so. Recent bomber changes made them more alluring to later stages of the game. Bricks getting good penetration here at 20 minutes. Can they get somewhere sensitive and take out something important? Mass options here. We're still producing loyalists is the question. Yeah, still working on those. Nothing going on at the top aperture. Those wall sections completely debilitated Turbo's movement. There are Cerberus turrets in play, but we'll need more than 2 to handle this. 4 bricks rolling in the front door. With switching up their target to the T2 point defense. Definitely don't want to stand there doing pirouettes. That's not going to help their kill-loss ratio. Oh, set 1 brick to kill off that Cerberus turret, please. Aggravating me so. Still 3 bricks alive. Cerberus turret's on 82 hit points. That's really bugging me. Look at it. Look at the damage you're taking unnecessarily if you just killed the point defense. Oh my god. It's not his fault. Attention was clearly elsewhere. Just for the viewer and the commentator. That unnecessary damage. You think that had been handled better, that T2 mechs at the very least will have gone. Now it looks like it's going to survive. Counter push, albeit very, very light pressure happening at the top. Not making any breakthrough there with T1 spam up against the walled up point defense. More bricks heading through the southern aperture, and we're not seeing a lot of units on the field at all from Turbo. It's gone into hiding in production. I mean, he's opened up a slightly bigger mass lead, or has he? Was that a reclaimed bounce from Inspector Cot? So it's 136. Well, yeah, so he's power locked and dropping to 86. But the spikes suggest that actually there might not be much lead at all when Inspector Cott gets his power issues sorted out. And he's upgrading his air factory to T3. That might have something to do with it. How did that get in there? Was that a drop? Certainly Skyhook over there. Turbo2 located under the shielding down here. Shielding's about to drop. That's a T2 mechs down. That should put Inspector Cott in the lead. 133 to 123 now. First time in a while he's been ahead on generated eco, I think. And now Turbo2 taking direct fire on his commander. Needs to move. Has a couple of his own bricks in the area. It would be a shame if they can't inflict more damage on this position. Mex is ripe for the plucking. Take down the shield gens, surely. In come a squadron of jesters. It'll take them a long time to chew through all of the HP on the bricks. Where is Inspector Cott's Air Force? It's lurking up here. The mass of bombers. Those bricks persuaded to leave by opponents there, just across from them in the entrance to the southern section of the map. Nearly 25 minutes gone. 121 to 108. That must be a power lock again. It is. Inspector Cott having major issues with his power. It's because he's producing what looks like whalers now. And rightly so, has queued up a T3 ion reactor. Interceptors dispatched eventually to deal with the Jester threat, and all the time they were shooting at the bricks. Look how much health is left on them still. Don't translate brilliantly into the later stages of the game. Does the Jester phenomenally useful early on, not so much at 25 minutes. Facing down T3 assault bots. Loyalists attempt to breach through the center from Turbo2. They get resoundingly rebuffed by 3 bricks lying in wait for them. Again, still pretty much 50-50 in terms of territory. Inspector Cott, though, pulling away in eco in a big way. 170 to 132. And that whaler is up and running and wailing away on vulnerable mexes. Takes down 1 T2 at the bottom of the map there. Dropping Turbo2 to 133. Another horde of T1 bombers ready for a run. Interceptors locking onto the whaler. Only 2 dispatched to deal with them. I think they'll need more than that. These whalers equipped with their own anti-air. Oh man. Kill the gunship. It's now going to start going to town on a reactor. Has got a Myrmidon, so that should deal with it. There we go. Finally dealt with. Now we've got an ion reactor up over here. Yes, we do. Inspector Cott with his power issues under control, getting a T3 upgrade on his commander. Cheeky little drop up here by Turbo, taking down 3 of the 4 T2 mexes at that other starting location, but gets the proverbial piss bombed out of it by all the T1 bombers in the world. Now the main base of Turbo in viewing distance of bricks heading their way. I don't think we're in any danger of seeing a breach here. 5v5 in terms of bricks. Air cover in Turbo's favour. Got bricks lying in wait up here, but there's so many wall sections you can't make any progress, so they're just sitting there taking outrageous amounts of T1 bomber fire. Turbo does lose one T3 factory out of that exchange, but won't worry about that. Trebuchets in the middle, lobbing fire down into that central starting location. But Turbo's caught up immensely. 173 now to 177, or 167 to 162 on current reading. And total mass over the course of the game, he's way in the lead. 202k versus 173. That is pretty significant, especially when he's been behind for a while. But reclaim figures, where are we at? Well, that's just enormous. 52k versus 37. That is where the major differential has come in to play. Turbo lying in wait at the various strong points for Inspektor. I say they're strong, mainly made up of wall sections. You've got the odd T1 PD dotted around here and there. Do have 4 bricks stationed down here. What exactly is he working on? Still getting that T3 upgrade on the commander. Reducing ASFs now, but it just seems to be a little light on the ground as Cot, and it's starting to worry me for his own safety. Good formation for Turbo, lying in wait against the advancing bricks. What a difference the formation makes. It was he had a slight advantage in numbers anyway, but look at the kill-loss ratio in that exchange. Bombers rolling in and getting shot down immediately. They get their bombs off, and then as they're banking to either make another run or return home, that bang is just taking them out, swatting them down. T1 bombers have been super effective throughout this for Inspektor Cop, but I'm not sure they're the most useful tool you could be using against these bricks right now. Probably be more cost effective to build a few tac missiles around the place and try and pick them off while they're stationary. Very quick look at air power now. ASF numbers 12 there for Inspektor Cot. He's got a couple of Corsairs, and he's got 131 interceptors with fuel, 40 without. Take a look at what Turbo's packing. He's got 155 T1 interceptors and what looks like 11 ASFs. So not a huge amount in it, really. Neither player wanting to get embroiled in an air fight at the current time, it would seem. TURBO2 just utterly unimpressed with the constant T1 bombing action. slow diminishment of HP on the bricks, but look how much mass has been thrown away down there. Mass field, of course, growing bigger all the time, with engineer coverage in play for Turbo to scoop that right back up. It's now 68k, 69k to 39k on reclaim figures. And Turbo2 with a huge leap forward, 225 to 176. That's a significant gap that's opened up for him now. It's advancing in eco and building up on ground-based power all the time. Land factories up here for Inspector Cop, pumping out bricks. Now at a more sustained rate. Lots of engineers around factories, upgrading them to T3 to help with brick production, no doubt. One enemy brick in behind enemy lines there for Turbo2. Takes down one of the Cerberus turrets that's engaging his forces as they try and breach these wall sections. A couple of holes punched in the first two sections. PD down in between. Just that last row of defense to go. Bottom aperture still looking pretty well sealed as far as COT's concerned. More bricks piling up in the center all the time. $72k to 40 now. Seems Inspector Cop goes up a K. Turbo2 goes up 4. Definitely not sustainable. Banger down. There goes another brick lurking behind enemy lines. I'll work out if that was an airdrop, if it snuck in somewhere through the center. I think it must have been airdropped. Another concerted effort to advance in the north. Big old hole in the wall. Blasted. Be worse than to get in and take out that Cerberus turret. T1 PD down first, then the T2. That's the end of that row of defenses. Where are they headed now? They're going to push through, try and break through the middle and sync up with the group in the center. Well, they've got hostiles coming in to their rear. It's never what you want. Something going on with the double entendres today. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Now pressure on the southern aperture as well. Oh, this is not looking great for Inspector Cop, who's still determined to harass with T1 bombers. They were incredibly effective against the T1 spam in the beginning, but I just don't see the point in them now against all of these bricks. It really is just hurling mass now at Turbo2. You can then just scoop it all up. He's not even that fussed about losing the odd brick here and there, since he's holding the field anyway. He's going to get most, or at least half of that mass back. Inspector Cop's turn to push up towards the northern aperture. Rows of T1 anti-air recently constructed, they get taken down. 6 bricks there for Cot. more lying in wait, 8 or so there for Turbo 2. Hello, what have we got here? Inspector Cott going for a nuke. To be about 80% done, something like that. Anything similar, or indeed any anti-nuke on the way? Well, there is an anti-nuke up and running actually, up at the back. Turbo 2 must have spotted that nuke launcher. It's got a lot of engineers working on that strategic missile defense. How comprehensive is it though? Has he got anything down here? Doesn't look like it. Give you an idea of what that SMD will cover. It's going to cover the main base, everything around here. Mass points in here and down at the bottom, vulnerable to attack. Starting to see more fighter bombers come into use now. I've got to say, I prefer that to the mass T1 spam. And mixing it up with some trebuchets as well. I like that greatly. Trebuchets in, brick wall in front. Force Turbo 2 back towards his base. Of course, it gives you access to other parts of the map, but it's not territory that's going to be useful economically. Can't make it pay. Shield coverage for the nuke launcher on the way. That nuke launcher complete, working on its first missile now. 39 minutes gone. Now, Turbo 2. Those groups of bricks that have been lingering in the middle for about the last 15-20 minutes at last take a little bit of damage, take some fire. And that slow but very effective T3 mobile RT. Turbo 2 breaking through the southern aperture now. Massive brick production underway from both players. Seems like he's prioritizing the nuke launcher a lot, but he's low on resources. Still producing everything else en masse, so it's going to be a while before that launcher is ready to fire. Turbo 2 looking like he's abandoning the middle for the first time in about 30 minutes. Of mass to be had there if Inspector Cott can advance. He has got engineers in play in the center. 89 to 64 reclaim figures, 413 to 339 total mass accrued, and a good 42 mass point advantage on generated eco so far for Turbo 2. Power production 4K in favor of Turbo. Generally, it's been happy to sit off, tech up, build up on his eco. Knows he's ahead, doesn't want to get sniped, has set his comm under solid shield coverage with oodles of T1 and T2 coverage on point defense. Solid kill-loss ratio for Turbo 2, who's almost at about 1.2 kills for every loss. TURBO2's forces, so he's a decent number there. Let's just have a quick brick count to see who might come out on top. 37 there for Turbo. I think Turbo might have the upper hand versus 28, so assuming these two forces meet and meet evenly, a comfortable win for Turbo. This may be his plan, draw this grouping closer. If it is, it's a little risky one. Trebuchets in action, already firing down on that central location. That might be what's prompting Turbo to advance now. Launcher production paused. Looks like it's currently only getting any build power from that lone T2 NG. It's almost a shame, because if a well-placed nuke was ready right now, it could take out this group of units. That would be quite the avenue for attack. More T1 bombers, this time focusing on Turbo's southern contingent. Neither player happy to get embroiled in anything, and I can't believe it, it's 44 minutes into the game. We haven't seen a single experimental yet. Happened up here. Some damage on that nuke launcher, Liberator. But yeah, not one experimental, and nothing even on the way either. It wouldn't seem. Very unusual. Bricks up at the top, trying to reach the cliff edge so they can find a solution on something. Down on the next level of the height map. This aperture has been sealed up once again by Inspektor Cott, who's now 100 mass behind in generated eco. I don't know what he's doing, and I don't know where he's doing it, but the map is essentially not quite 50-50 split. Slight advantage for Turbo now, who has again both the mechs at the top and the bottom, and has prevented Cott from holding on to these three, but that differential is absolutely enormous, and now he's power locked. He's occasionally dropping down to 200 mass behind. Myrmidon coverage up here. It'll make it hard to sneak in any of those cheeky little drops that Turbo employed earlier on in the game. Haven't seen an awful lot of it though. It's been very static, this game. It's been a mass brick building exercise essentially. But that's interesting. I like that a lot. Massive Gunther battery outranging those trebuchets, and now forcing Inspektor Cott to reposition his bricks. You see them taking fire from those artillery pieces. In fact, Inspektor Cott's advancing forward in the face of said barrage. Trebuchet's taking pot shots at the group down here, so he's split his bricks. The main force of bricks back here. That's a huge number of assault bots. This is looking like a bad idea, what Kott's doing right now. It's just exposing his forces to unnecessary damage. One thinks perhaps that he's worried about the game, where the game's going. Maybe doesn't realise quite how many assault bots are lurking down here, lying in wait for him, but he's definitely going to have the worst of this exchange. On that retreat, we're going to be taking T2 artillery fire all the way back to whatever place they can call safe. Meanwhile, progress for Turbo through the southern aperture. It's broken through 2 sets of wall sections, working on a third. There's more bricks lying in wait for him, though. How long on that nuke? It must be nearly done. That's about 2/3 done. Rules the skies. Not that it really makes a blind bit of difference. We haven't had a single massive air fight. 79 ASFs for Kott. Turbo2 on 59. Both still with massive air wings of T1 interceptors. Huge numbers of prowlers on the map. Both players not that far off unit cap. Corsairs and T1 bombers make a pass on that pack of bricks, and now we have experimentals queued up en masse. 1 bug under construction and 3 megaliths queued up. Turbo2 with a whopping mass lead, 457 to 269, 315, potentially more, as it looks like he's power locked.
Strategic launch detected.
But there it goes. What was his target? There's the ping. That's where the nuke's going. And the safe option. No strategic missile defense down there. I would imagine this has got a few missiles in it by now. There's 2 anti-nuke missiles in that SMD. So this should land very comfortably. 457, current reading on Turbo2's mass. That boosts up to 475 just as I say it. It's going to drop down to, wait for it, 340. That can't be right. That must be a power issue, surely. Wow. That must have been reclaim related, and that reclaim disappearing at the same time. That's an outrageous amount of mass that just went klaflui, or kerflui, however the non-word is pronounced. So decent nuke puts Kott back in it in terms of eco, but he looks like he's way behind now on general unit count. 104 bricks on the field for Turbo, 46 on the field for Kott. Took the losses in the center on that last advance. He's got very little to defend against their pack advance in the middle, and it looks like you can see him repositioning his forces towards the middle now. The trouble is, there's another group down here lying in wait for an opening, and more pressure coming through the top as well. You get the impression Turbo looking to enact some retribution on that nuke. That bug as well, nearly done. That'll be more interesting to see how the outcome is played out in the skies. ASFs haven't had a lot to do in this game. Feels like they might be about to earn their keep. Strap bombers out for Kott, going after the pack of bricks in the middle. In come the ASFs from Turbo. Those bombers get shot down. He did take out a few bricks with that pass, but strats are so expensive. Pretty sure that was a false economy right there. Another pass, this time at a more defensible position, and that's a lot of bricks that got taken out on that pass. Turbo moves to intercept. Cot, you need to be quicker than this. That was an opportunity potentially to get in around behind those ASFs and force a good engage. And there goes the threat on the ground through the northern aperture. Strats move on to the T3 mexes on that plateau right at the top there. I love that Gunther battery, which is enormous. What is that? It's like 8, 10 Gunthers firing straight up the middle, making life generally pretty intolerable for any hostile bricks stationed there. Strategic missile launcher about 50% done on the second nuke. Bug is very nearly complete. Turbo hurriedly going about restoring his mass options down here. Definitely wants to get some SMD up though. What's that? Cheeky little drop right into the back there. Transport got shot down, but the two bricks made it. Inspektor Cot trying to chase them down. You don't want to do that. Get under shield coverage. We're trying to overcharge him. This brick's going to move on instead to take out a T3 Mex up at the back. Very nicely done by Turbo. We love the cheeky drops. Quite like this move. This is where the resistance will be the least tough, but I bet you he doesn't go through with it. No, concerned about the push through the middle. He's going to withdraw and try and plug the gap. It's also got pressure coming through the southern aperture. 357 to 624 current mass reading. That's an accurate reading, we believe. Cot not power locked for once. About 66% done on that second nuke. Where is the bug? It's taken off. There it is. Be very careful, Turbo, as he inches it close to Cot's fighters. Oh my god, he's going to lead with it. I know he's got his own fighters here to counter-engage, but would have thought you would want to set up the screen first. Maybe he's not very confident about the engage. Two more T3 Mexes down and out for Cot. Mass totals plummeting all the time. And that group of bricks have to push all the way on down to cover the forces on the southern aperture now. And here's the big ASF face-off. Behold the raw, unbridled processing power. Strats come in the middle to harass the bricks. T1 interceptors dispatched to engage the Soul Ripper. They make a small dent, but nothing to write home about. In come the ASFs from Turbo. He's left his interceptors on Cot's ASFs and gone after the T1 Inties, going after the Soul Ripper. And that's gone badly, I think, for Cott. It's gone just the wrong side of even. He needed a big win there. And somehow to take out the Soul Ripper. He's looking outgunned on the ground. And now has a giant bug to worry about. There goes the second nuke. Where's it going? Well, it's not creative or interesting. It's back down to that resourcing option at the bottom. Yes, that's going to take out 5 T3 mexes, but it's not a juicy base strike. Soul Ripper still with about 60% health. Comfortable and competent nuclear strike. Drops Turbo down by 80 something mass, something like that. And this is looking very bad now for Cott. Soul Ripper with about a third of its health still intact, hovering above the bricks, whittling them down as a huge blue force of bricks breaches the territory of Cott, which, except for the odd droppers, remained largely untouched for most of this game. Soul Ripper still looking dangerous in the skies above. Not yet diverting his attention to the base. But he doesn't need to, not with the amount of T3 assault bots he's breached with. Could just send those in now, quite frankly. Exactly sure what he's waiting for. ASF's come in once again. He's producing small groups and then sending them in. Desperate to down that bug. Lots of blue fighters lying in wait. He's done pretty well. Cott's got it down to just under 9k HP. He's managed to hold on to those 2 T3 mexes that are in that precarious corner position. Support commanders going toe-to-toe with the pack of bricks. That main pack just heading up north. Lots of mass points to kill up here to throttle Cott back on eco even more. And if you look at map control now, this is just fallen apart for Inspektor Cott. Got massive engineered drops over here, cannibalizing the wrecks. Lots of bricks. We've got new factories going up. Major land grab to the southern and northern aperture. Sad face from Inspektor Cott. That is a long, drawn out, but comprehensive dismantling in the end. That's pretty rude. I don't know how to play long games. I can tell. Well, it's not like you finished him off in half an hour or 35, 40 minutes when he was doing all the same tactics he was doing before. It's taken over an hour game time. We're up to an hour and half a minute. TURBO2 commenting on his use of bomber tactics. Interesting to know how much he spent on bombers T1, T2 and T3 throughout this. Down goes another T3 Mex. 175 drops to 143. Forget how much mass is coming off the T3s actually. 80 odd mass would have been a woefully low estimation of how much that dropped by. It would have been over 100. And another Soul Ripper is complete, and another nuke is out, but this time it's from Turbo. Nuke launcher there, and what? Is that a Control K? No, it's a support commander going pop. Another one should soon follow. Nuke inbound. Strategic missile defense in operation. No danger there. There's another one loaded as well. Inspektor Cot laughs in local chat. He hasn't had a lot to laugh about for the last half hour. These guys incredibly close in ladder ranking, just 1 point between them. Really do get the feeling that Turbo, just toying with his man now, could send in the bricks and the Soul Ripper and end it right here. Scathis under construction. Don't think that's going to see too much playtime. Soul Ripper taking gargantuan amounts of fire from T1 anti-air. That gets shot down. Huge quantities of bricks marching in towards Inspektor Cot's base. We've got bricks up at the back, making their way down onto the bottom plateau.
Strategic launch detected.
Another nuke out from Turbo. Anti-nuke. Still loaded. That's not going to make it in. But support commanders just getting popped left, right and center. Inspektor Cot says he had no T3 spam all game. Well, not so sure about that. Decent amounts of assault bots. It's just Turbo had about 30% more half the time. Shield gens holding. Credit where credit's due for Cot for enduring this and not Control K-ing straight away. It's like he's rolling out to meet the bricks. And this should put an end to it as Inspektor Cot takes fire from the assault bots and lasts no time at all. 1 hour, 5 minutes. Could have been over in 58 though, I reckon. But but entertaining nonetheless. A brutal Cybern slugfest. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. There's always more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, you've got that tourney. You can still sign up, I believe, until tomorrow, so get involved, guys. And of course, if you feel so inclined and enjoy the content, you can support me on Patreon. Details on how to do that below this, each and every one of my video. All donations very, very welcome indeed. Each donation helps support me and the channel and by extension the community. So thank you in advance of any donation meant to be made and for all of those that have been made so far. Until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.